Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Colony Drop, a Gundam podcast. My name is Brian.
And my name is Isaac. This is your favorite Gundam podcast, where we talk about anything and everything that's related to Gundam. So that could be the lore, it could be anime series, Gundam models, which are all called Gunpla. It could be concepts and ideas related to Gundam, even Gundam music. Isn't that right, Brian?
That's right, Isaac. And today we have a topic about one of those concepts, and that is something that you thought up, right, Isaac?
Sort of. I'd almost say we both thought it up, if not every Gundam fan, every big fan has really thought of it, right, Brian?
That's right. And that is Gundam Plus as a subscription service.
Right.
We are in the golden age of subscription services, Isaac. You can just sign up to not own whatever it is you're buying and then permanently rent it for everything these days.
Yeah, and I can't say this is a change for the better now that we're in a world where everything's a subscription. But you know what? It almost feels like we're moving in this direction, like you said, for everything. But the groundwork's already been laid by like Bandai and Sunrise, right? Like this isn't outside the realm of possibility.
Not at all. And Gundam is one of those franchises that actually has enough things. It has a presence in enough different mediums to actually make this work. You know, if you only have movies or you only have manga, you probably can't make this work. But Gundam is all-encompassing enough that I think this could actually work depending on what you want out of this service and how much you would price it for.
And putting even price aside, as fans, we've all thought of what we'd want as Gundam content and media. So essentially in our heads, this already exists, right? We already know what we want kind of fed to us on our browsers, on our tablets, on our phones, on our televisions. However this would be done as an app, as a service, we already have our ideas in our head thrown around. And me and Brian are going to talk about what we envision individually as far as appearing, and I imagine there's going to be a lot of overlap.
Probably. That's probably fair. I think I have some unique ideas, but we'll see.
Okay.
Isaac, what do you want out of this thing? By the way, listeners, if you can think of a better name than Gundam Plus, by all means, let us know. This is just a generic placeholder because everybody seems to be calling their thing Plus these days.
Everybody's taken the plus and just ran with it.
So, like, there it is. Boom.
Yeah. Someone failed and didn't trademark plus. Unless that legal battle is going to be happening soon. But I really, and this kind of covers both of us, Brian, I assume. This goes without saying. There would, of course, be Gundam movies and anime series on it. Both new and old.
Absolutely, yeah. And I guess before we even get too far into this, I'll say all of our ideas here are ignoring any potential rights issues that would preclude any of this from happening, because no one knows what those issues are unless you work at Bandai, Sunrise, etc. But yes, 100% agree. I think they have to have some anime on there. They might not be able to have all of them. I'm sure the ones that Netflix has, they wouldn't want to be on this service and etc. But I gotta think, Isaac, you could at least give us the old stuff that no one really cares about, right? Like, just pile it all on there. The stuff that no one's watching and the stuff that no one's ever gonna buy. Like one of our favorites, MS Igloo. I mean, come on, put that on there, right?
Yeah, why not? Even though it's subbed, I feel like it still works. A dub could be done later, but just throw it at us now and then release the dub in the future. If anything, that'll actually keep people on because they'll want to see the dub, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think they should put on some of the older series like that again, I don't think are highly in demand currently because the people that wanted to watch them have already seen them, and the people that haven't watched them and might want to watch it probably don't even know they exist, or it's just too old that they wouldn't actively reach it out, like actively go seek it out. So I'm talking about like some of our favorites, Isaac, like Gundam X, G Gundam, and then other stuff you could just put on there that I really don't think people are going to buy on DVD, except me. So now it's like Victory Gundam, Double Zeta Gundam. Just, I don't think there's a lot of value in holding those back. So just put them on the service.
Right, just put them out subbed now. If a dub happens, great, whether that's with humans or AI. But at this point, content is king. So just throw everything on the buffet and the fans will line up to eat it.
What flavor is Victory Gundam, Isaac? What does that taste like?
Oh, boy. Victory Gundam is like the wings that they cooked, but they kind of left in the back, so they're not warm. They've got some flavor, but like there's really better things to eat.
G Gundam is just pure dessert, I would think.
Yeah, G Gundam is like children were put in charge of like putting together a dessert or something, right? It's like really colorful. It's really sweet. I don't know. They called it like a bazooka cake or something, and like you look at it and you're like, what's that?
Double Zeta Gundam is a box of the Bernie Bots, like mystery flavor beans from Harry Potter. You don't know where you're gonna get.
Some of them are like chocolate or licorice, and one of them's like vomit.
Yep. Those Moon episodes. There's other like anime type things that they could put on there too, Isaac. Like I'm thinking they could put on the things that normally would be considered DVD extras. They could put those on the service, like interviews, behind the scenes clips.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The making of.
Yeah, we don't get those on streaming services, right? So like, where did all those things go? They still exist. They could live on this service.
Yeah, that like if you're, depending on your streaming service, you're lucky if you can go to like options or like the additional information section or whatever after like an episode, and then like pull up like the 2 minutes where they go into the in depth in the episode, or maybe there's an interview or something. But that whole industry of like the director's commentary or like the making of special feature for the animation or the character designs, that's all gone. But bringing that back, and that stuff has to exist, even just among the animators themselves or the staff and employees themselves. That'd be great. That'd just be even more content for people that are interested in that. And it is still interesting, you know, animation and storyboarding and how the story gets made, the concept arts. That'd be great.
Yeah, and I think the people who would subscribe to this are the people who would have interest in watching those things, right? If you're subscribing to a Gundam all-encompassing subscription service, anime and other things, which we haven't talked about yet, those are the people that want to watch that stuff. So just give it to them. You got it laying around. This is your chance to sell it to them, you know? I mean, you're not really using it otherwise.
Exactly, yeah. And dare I say, they might be one of the few streaming services that would offer something like that, but it would go so well hand in hand with animation because of just the creativity involved and how technical it is, as opposed to something like, you know, a lot of the times behind the scenes of movies, it's just kind of people standing around talking, or you see like the camera filming another camera filming a scene. Which is great and all, but animation's different, right? Because this is a wholly pure world of pure imagination.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I would love to see, you know, old clips of Tomino-san running around directing people. That would be hilarious. Isaac, there's also like older stuff that they've never really released or over here that they could just sub and put on the service. Like, and these are things I would say most people, even if you're a decent Gundam fan, you probably haven't watched. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of these things. Like the short where Amuro first showed up in that Zeta Gundam, it's called Green Divers. There's like other weird shorts that like I found on the wiki that I've never watched, like Ring of Gundam and Mission to the Rise. Like if you go read some of this stuff, some of it's like pretty out there. Like it's definitely not in continuity, or it doesn't really fit, but it's pretty interesting. And like they've just got it kind of sitting there, like they're not really using it. And so like this would be the perfect home for those weird older one-off type of things that you don't really hear about anymore.
Absolutely.
They're not going to put these out on DVD, Isaac. Like I just don't understand why you don't use them.
No, this is all just aging content that's in an archive, really. And I imagine each year Blu-ray and DVD sales just continue to plummet. Blu-ray may be still around longer, of course, but DVD, I'm sure, is in minimal numbers at this point. Like you were saying right now, old type of content like that we haven't seen. There's so many super deformed SD content that was done in like comedic tones that we also haven't seen, because that's pretty big in Japan. You know, definitely bigger than here.
That's right. And I think actually they just announced that they will release this one sort of, I think it was like an SD type show called Gundam-san. That one's going to come out on DVD here, sub only, I would assume. But yeah, I still no word on, I think, the original series from the, whatever it was, 80s and 90s. I don't remember when they came out, but still no word on that. But yeah, to your point, this would be the perfect avenue for that. Again, these are the people that would watch those things. So I'll pay my $3 a month or however much this is going to cost, and, you know, sign me up for all that stuff. I'd be super excited. My last anime / like movie idea, Isaac, is there's a lot of, this is something that's fairly unique to Gundam as a franchise. Other big franchises, I guess, would have this too, but there's a lot of really cool video game cutscenes that are out there. Like you can watch on YouTube, but they're not really like officially collected anywhere. That would be so cool if they could like gather them in one place and you could watch them on the service, because a lot of them are really neat that feature suits that are not really in other animation. especially in like the PlayStation 3-ish era. There was a lot of those cool cutscenes.
Right. They only exist like on YouTube now, and even then, it's kind of you have to play a game with the search algorithm to find them.
Yeah, you got to watch the Let's Play for 45 minutes until it gets to, you're like, there's the cutscene I heard about.
Yeah, just speed up scrolling. But yeah, it'd be great to see those two. That could even be its own dive or segment within like Gundam video games. If you really wanted to, you could do streaming exclusive for Gundam video games, but I'm kind of branching out from animation specific. But yes, a lot of the animation was kind of unique since it was a lot of what ifs, right?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Including that would be great. Or it was just unique anime in general for like fighting games or other types of games that showed us maybe victory scenes or losing scenes, game over scenes that we really didn't see in any anime series because it didn't happen.
A lot of those Gear and Greed scenarios.
Yeah, I love those.
How many times have we asked for that on this podcast? But,
never.
To your point about video games, unless you have more anime to talk about.
No, that was it. I mean, it really just goes without saying that we'd, of course, like the new content and the old content on there that's already been animated, specifically for animation as a topic.
Yeah, so I'm sure they would want to put, the newest show out on the other more profitable platforms, whether it's Crunchyroll or Netflix or whatever. But eventually you would hope that, Witch from Mercury comes for a little bit, or at least temporarily. But to your point about video games, I didn't actually have this on my list, but I think I thought about writing it down and I didn't. Are you envisioning like, I forgot what Google's service was, like Stadia, where you stream video games? Like they could do that here as long as they had the rights from all the, I don't know who the rights holders are for the old video games, but there's a ton of video games that you really there's not really good access to anymore if they're old, like.
No.
How do you get those PS1, PS2, PS3 games at this point?
You'd have to hope that like an emulator exists for them. That's about it. If there's a roundabout way for Gundam Plus to stream those, I guess it would be done. There'd be diehard gamer fans, I assume, that'd be wanting to stream them if they know they'd be put on Gundam Plus. But yeah, to my knowledge, that's really the only way to get like the old games. You have to pray and hope that somehow it was like that code was copied online and you can just emulate it.
Yeah, like the guy, so one of our, a friend of the show, the guy who did the voice of Tomino-san on our episode, he actually dropped off his PS1 or PS2 disc for Gundam Battle Assault 2, Isaac. So I have it sitting here on my desk. I don't have a PlayStation to play it on, but I do have the game. But like, how many people kept all their discs in good condition? So to your point, if you have to go play these things on emulators, I guess what I'm asking for is they should give us an official way to consume those games. Not necessarily Battle Assault 2, because that's a fighting game. That's probably a bad example. But I'm talking about the ones that have more story content. There should be a more official way to consume that material that doesn't require you to seek out an emulator.
I'd almost say the way to kind of sidestep this and like almost guarantee get it done is they do a live play, even in Japan, of the old games. Right? They do almost like a little mini convention of having the gamers live stream it. And that's how we'd capture it.
And that could be fun. They could, as the streams would happen, they could give information about the mission and the characters, and they could do new art and stuff, and they could, hype it up, and you could tune in if you wanted to. I think it could be really fun. It doesn't have to be the whole point of the service, but it could be a pretty cool feature that I don't really think other services would have. And again, I think that's pretty unique to Gundam. The only other franchises that could do that, the closest one is Star Wars, Isaac, because like Marvel has a lot of video games, but they're all not really in this. Not that like Gundam video games are completely canon or anything, and I know canon is a weird word in the Gundam universe, but at least all the games are a lot of them are hypothetically like could happen in the canon. So Star Wars again is the closest thing I could think of that has that much material. Maybe Star Trek too. There's not as many Star Trek games though.
I'm trying to think like I guess almost any of the major sci-fi stories go back, the genres go back. So they could kind of do it, but Gundam itself still has like a thriving player base. I guess Star Trek does too, and of course Star Wars, but I don't know. There's something about Gundam, I think, where it just translates itself better as opposed to just trying to imagine people doing like a Star Trek Plus.
Yeah.
Where they stream themselves playing Star Trek online.
I don't think we should underestimate those Trekkies, though, Isaac. They're pretty. I mean, they have like the uniforms and everything. They're pretty serious.
True, but I feel like I don't know what it is, changing pop culture or what have you, but I feel like those demographics have aged, and
could be, yeah.
The younger influx is not there as much as it should be.
Yeah, I wonder how those new Star Trek shows are doing. Do you think it seems like they're doing okay. They keep making them.
I guess so, but part of me thinks they're mostly like fan servicey, right? Because they got the Picard, which is for pretty much people that grew up watching Picard, like Gen Xers, right, or above.
Yeah.
They've got like the Strange New Worlds, which uniform wise, it's clearly a throwback to the original series for people that like the original series.
Yeah.
I think Discovery might be kind of like the modern hip one, but I think that might have been met with some mixed criticism.
Got it. Well, if you're a fan of Star Trek, let us know how it's going. That's similar to this in that there's a lot of one franchise on one service. And beyond Star Trek, I'm not sure there's a whole lot of reason to subscribe to that service. So you might as well call it Star Trek Plus, right?
Yeah, STP.
No offense to CBS or whatever it is.
I guess that would work other than it being owned already by CBS. But I wouldn't describe Star Trek as like a meta genre. In a way. Well, no, it is. It's just in a bizarre way because of just how closely tied I think it is to like always being with a studio because it's a show as opposed to an anime, which we almost never associate animes with like their studios, right? They're almost just sort of an item standing on their own as an individual.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, every now and then an anime becomes synonymous with its studio, but there's very rarely a sequel to that anime. So like, for example, everyone knows the studio who did, Full Metal Alchemist or Cowboy Bebop or something. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Besides old content and even content for old games or old games themselves be streamed, Brian, what else did you have on your little dream list for appearing on Gundam Plus?
Well, I think a big category here that we haven't mentioned yet, Isaac, is digital manga.
Digital manga. Wow. That's almost a new compound term. Why don't you tell us all what digital manga is?
Look, I've come to terms with the fact that most Gundam manga, and there's a lot of it, there's so much of it that I just have to assume that most of it will never be published in hard copy in English, right? But that doesn't mean you couldn't just translate it and put it on the service digitally. I mean, digital comics are doing fairly well, I think. Marvel sells its Marvel Unlimited Pass, DC has something very similar. So why don't, as part of this service, they add all the manga that they're never going to publish and translate into English in hard copy? Just give it all to us digitally. They already have a lot of the old stuff that they don't reprint, that they print, that they translated over the last 20 years, that some of it's really expensive now if you want to go get a hard copy. They've got the original Blue Destiny series, you've got Kazuhisa Kondo's 0079, which I don't think they ever even translated the last 3 volumes. They should put that on the service. They've got Lost War Chronicles. They've got most of École du Ciel. They've got all the Astray series for the Seed fans. They've got all those various Gundam Wing mangas. I think they just finished, not that long ago, translating the Glory of Losers Wing series that like incorporates and sort of smooths out the story. But in addition to those ones that they've already translated, Isaac, they could start translating some of the older ones that people aren't going to buy in print and put them on the service. Those are some of the ones we've talked about. F90, Silhouette Formula, yeah. F91. There's Gundam Legacy. I think people would love if they started translating something like Char's Deleted Affair. That has a lot of volumes, Isaac. I don't know if anyone would really buy it in print, because I don't know that the print manga market is doing too well. But if you released a chapter every 2 weeks or something, people would read it for a reasonable price.
So as like a digital manga, what you're thinking is, using your remote, you just sort of scroll page to page, left to right, reading them?
Well, in terms of actually how the service would work, I think it would depend. You'd have to have multiple apps. You'd have to have a desktop app, a phone app,
okay,
TV app, and yeah, you'd have to adapt your viewer for whatever you're trying to read. So manga might be a little more difficult on the TV to navigate, but yeah, I mean, really, it's all just point and click and left and right. You can go page by page. It's doable. I wouldn't suggest people read the manga on their TV. No. But they could certainly read it on their phone or their tablet or their desktop. I mean, I envision this, Isaac, as like an all-encompassing service where it's more about franchise engagement. Like, let me consume all of the Gundam content I can in all the forms. Give me all the forms. This is my ticket to all the different Gundam media out there.
I can definitely see it working like that. In fact, that's a very quick way to get the content up, right? Just throw up the anime that we already have, the screen captures of that. But I feel like if it baked a little bit in the stew, it might be even better. If you recall, there was that short with Shima and Gato where we were essentially just watching animated cells, right?
Yep,
segments of an anime colored with voiceover and, zooming in or out or across the pages. Just present the manga like that, and it just becomes a much more cinematic experience that's like halfway between animated series and manga.
Yeah, that's a great idea to make that older content more accessible to new people who haven't read it and like kind of refresh it almost. That's a pretty good idea, and it would require a lot less effort than doing a full anime series. I like that. And then in addition to those old mangas, Isaac, that they've already translated, the ones that are old that no one's going to buy, then they should at least put some sort of premium manga on the service that people would actually want to read, that is maybe newer or more popular or well known, because there's certain manga in the Gundam franchise that when you say it, people perk up, right? Those mangas are things like Crossbone. There's a whole segment of the fandom that loves Crossbone. There's Gundam Sentinel. I know there's a lot of Gundam Sentinel fans out there. I'd say the latest one is probably like Moon Gundam. A lot of people really like Moon Gundam. Maybe start translating that, put it on the service. If you're not going to publish it, you're not using it otherwise, this is your opportunity to use it.
Yeah, it might as well, right? That'll just be so much more content. And some people will want to read manga, especially now. This is kind of the phase we're at now. But they dare not actually get the physical book.
Right.
We're at an interesting point where I think the numbers of printed books being purchased are back up higher than digital. But I really don't see us going back to a world where people just have, volumes of books in their house as opposed to much more easily carried, stored digital versions.
If people our age, Isaac, can never afford big houses, then maybe people will bring back their libraries. But until the target market that's supposed to be reading this stuff has that buying power, I think digital is a really great way for them to consume the content, because there's so much of it, Isaac. If you wanted to collect all the Gundam manga, that would be your house's library. You'd have no room for anything else. Even I, as a big Gundam fan who loves print stuff, there's no way I would even try to do that. There's just too much. That's why digital has to be the answer here.
Yeah, at that point you need like a manga subscription service that like rotates volumes out of your house. In and out.
Yeah. And maybe libraries are the answer, but I don't think manga really holds up in libraries. People probably tear those things apart. So anyway, I think manga is a gold mine here, Isaac. There's just so much of it that they could fill the service with and fill up space and make it worth those $3 a month. Like if, again, I'm saying $3 a month. I forget how much Crunchyroll is, but it's not very expensive. But for $3 a month, man, I would read a lot of Gundam manga, Isaac.
You'd get your $3 worth.
I would, absolutely. The other thing I was thinking of that's not really manga related, but it's sort of similar, so I'm going to bring it up here. There are these things in Japan, I think they're commonly referred to as MOOCs, which are like model books. So it's like model books, MOOKS, MOOCs.
Wow.
And these are those things you've seen. It's like the magazine like Gundam Weapons, or it's just like a magazine about the various Gundam models. It's all professional modelers that do the models. And they have really cool, like, custom versions, and they have little, not stories, but, like, oh, this custom Gelgoog is meant to work in the desert or something like that. And it has little stuff in there about how they made the model and how they think it would work in the story and all this stuff. They should translate those and put them on the service digitally. Like, again, they're not, clearly, Isaac, they're not going to publish these in English, or they would have done so over the last 20 years. But if you've got all this stuff and all you got to do is scan it and translate it, I don't see why you don't try to use it. I guess I'm saying the same thing for all this stuff here. They have all this stuff on the shelf. They're not using it. But I think people would like the MOOCs, especially if you're into modeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And dare I say, there's no reason an AI can't scan over that Japanese kanji and then instantly turn it into English or whatever language that the settings on the streaming platform are set to for that particular customer.
Isaac's already full on in Gundam GPT, as you can see, listeners. So.
Oh yeah, I'm all aboard it. I support Skynet, and we're going to crush the humans.
What was next on your list, Isaac?
Okay, so we kind of touched on this a bit for models, but I absolutely, completely believe that people would love watching other people build models, either as in a tutorial format or in a second show, as like almost competitive. You could even do like just competition shows of finished products, not even showing the builds, of the final versions that are just painted and looking good, whether it's, best group, best unique design, best perfect replication. There's just so much that could be done with models. And I feel like Gunpla is such a big part of the community that there'd absolutely be a consistent number of viewers for those particular shows on the platform.
Isaac, there's 100% agree. This was on my list as well. Hosting model contests, like you said. I would want it to be very interactive. Like, I'm kind of surprised they don't do this on Twitch already. Like, there are people on Twitch who will build Gundam models and you can go watch them, but that's not officially like endorsed, right? Like, they should be fostering that. There's a thing that comic stores will do. There's a service called the Comic Book Shop Locator Service, where you can go on this website and plug in your zip code and it'll show you all the comic book stores around you. They should have one of those, but for hobby stores, or like where you can find Gunpla. They should have a whole modeling section of this service, direct the community to where they need to go to like get these things, and then when they get them, engage them to be like, oh, watch the stream, we'll show how to build this, etc., and then get them to vote on all those categories that you mentioned.
I don't know anything about logistics or supply chain, but I would assume in this day and age, there has to be a database of where these models were shipped for their final destination to sell, right? So you should be able to very easily point your fans in the right direction where they can actually buy. You know, we all have phones. There's no reason you can't put a little QR code on every box now that as you scan it, you know, it'll immediately tie to your Gundam Plus account or even create one for you, and then just give you the invite to, hey, why don't you keep track of your build and share it with all of us.
That's a great point, and so I'm glad you brought that up. So Isaac, I don't know if you remember this, but this is something that I think Gundam Plus should bring this back. If you were a Gundam fan in around our time, the mid-2000s, when they first tried to bring Gundam models over here, Isaac, I think we even included it in our Gunpla episode way back when, was the original episode, or the original commercial, remember, where it was like, they gave all the Gundams levels, right? And they said, oh, this one's a level 3, this one's a level 4. So it's not, I don't want them to bring back the level promotion per se, but there was a really cool thing that they had as part of that campaign, and I don't think many people remember this, because I could barely find it on the internet. I only found like 2 things about it. There was a blog called Anime of Yesteryear. It had some pictures, and then I found one other guy somewhere that had some pictures. But there was this campaign where inside the model there was a form, and you could fill the form out, cut out the UPC on the model, and send it to Bandai. And depending on the level of the model kit, I think you also had to send them like $5 or something, some nominal fee. They would send you, Isaac, an exclusive pin. I think they called it a medal, but it was like a decent heavy-duty pin. It was Gundam themed. There was a set of pins for level 1, a set of pins for level 2, and you could kind of collect them all if you got enough models and sent them in. So we should bring that back to your point of tracking your build. You could scan the QR code or whatever it is, or even just type it in. Give the fans an opportunity to manage and catalog their collection, and they can upload photos, and people could like search them. And again, it could be very interactive. There could be an official forum for them to like comment on them and stuff. So I think they should bring that back, that two-way outreach, right? We're buying their stuff. I think there should be that physical, like tangible fan engagement. And an example of that is that pin that they would send out. Like, that would be really cool if you could collect all these pins, or it doesn't have to be pins or whatever. I'm just saying that was a good example of like an interactive fan engagement. And I think they should bring something like that back as part of this service.
I feel like that would be something that's not only good for the service, but like very good for social media, right? Because people would almost be able to like, I don't want to use the word bragging, but you'd want to share like your accomplishments, right? So you could share that through social media, and the versions of the medals themselves, if that's what's used, could even be just replicated digitally, so they appear on your streaming profile or other people's profile as like they're being live streamed on what they're building or a previous build.
Yeah, and they could even do like, the Federation rank insignias or something, or, or Xeon or whatever, you can pick your side, pick your faction. Like, that could be the different medals. It could be, various ranks. You go up the ranks or something like that. But yeah, to your point, once you make it that social aspect, I think it might catch on, and it could be a hub of the service, we'll say.
Do you feel like it should be the medals themselves, or a digital version would be better? Like, I don't know. A part of me doesn't think Bandai or Sunrise would put down the money for the physical medals again. Although that'd be really cool. the physical pins.
You're right. They would probably default to digital. I would always hope for the physical because I like physical stuff. But even if they did digital, I think that would be better than nothing. I think it's about the engagement more than anything else. So pessimistically, I think you're right. I think physical would be a pipe dream at this point. But so I'll post a link to what I'm talking about. They're older pins, so maybe they don't hold up as much now. But if you think about like, okay, back then that was pretty neat. If we did that today, we could make it better. So Yeah, I think I had two of mine. Like I had one that was like a Sandrock pin, and then one that was GPO one with the full Vernian. That's pretty neat. I miss those things. Isaac, my other idea on models, and Marvel does this, or they used to do it with their Marvel Unlimited service, which is their subscription comic service. I don't know if this would be possible, but maybe, and again, I'm going to ignore price point right here. But I think if you're a member of this service for a year, you should get an exclusive 1/44th scale model.
Wow.
Just mailed to you.
Of what?
I don't know, something that's relevant for that year. Like for this year, I would send everyone a special color version of the Gundam Ariel.
Interesting. So like an exclusive to the streamers almost, the subscribers.
Exactly. Whether it's a clear color version or a gold version or silver version or something unique that you can't buy in the store that would attract people to the service.
It sounds great, but part of me thinks the number crunching corporate side would just say no. This is a streaming service. It's supposed to cost peanuts to run because it's really just the servers we're paying for, and sending something physically to who knows how many subscribers we end up having it's just going to be an added cost. Like maybe give them a discount code, that'd be different, but like just giving them a model.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, maybe you have the opportunity to buy it or something like that.
We're going to be in the red in day one.
Well, that's something I didn't talk about. I don't even think this service should be viewed as a main way of making profit. I think break even would be a good goal, because to me this is more about like improving fan engagement with the franchise. Like, because what do you compete on today? There's so many options. You compete on people's time. So you want to give people more opportunities to spend their time with the Gundam franchise in a way that makes them want to come back. And so if you do this right, I think they would naturally buy more models just by watching more series and reading more manga and playing, seeing more video games. That's how we found all the mobile suits that we like, right, Isaac? And that's how we found all the stories we like. So if you give them more opportunities to do that, then I don't think this necessarily has to make its money by itself, but it would maybe cause people to go buy more stuff in general.
So it's almost like quasi-promotional in a way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of viewed as like advertising, actually.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, I can see it working in that way. I just hope for the lifetime of it, to increase its lifespan, that too much stuff isn't done by like Bandai or Sunrise that would like put it into the red and get it shut down.
Absolutely, yeah. We got to keep this thing going. So if I could just aim for break even instead of profitability, I would be okay with that. And to your point, maybe I'm not sending them a model, but maybe I'm sending them the ability to buy that model and is reasonably priced. I totally hear what you're saying. But yeah, Marvel did that with Marvel Unlimited. Now the price point on Marvel Unlimited is about $70 to $80 a year, so it's probably a little more expensive. But they would send you a 6-inch figure every year. I don't know if they still do that. But that figure was always unique. You really couldn't get it any other way. So that's where I got this idea.
That's pretty generous of Marvel. Maybe the numbers in my head are like so different, and it can be pulled off at like almost no cost.
Well, again, I don't think they send the figure anymore, so maybe that's why they don't do it anymore. But
okay.
But
Well, we'll see. We'll see when they actually do the numbers. I mean, at Sunset, we can really only throw our numbers together, and they're not always accurate.
Look, but Sunset is about ideas, and ideas have no... You can't put a price on ideas, right?
At Sunset, our ideas have no numbers. They're numberless.
How dare you put a number on our ideas?
We're Sunset. This is where the sun goes down. Brian, did you have anything, shall I say, out of left field? Anything a little wacky and wild or fun for this service?
So my last two ideas, I don't think they were very wacky, but one of them was kind of what Gundam Info has been doing, or they've started to try to do it, which was those like, when they had that Gundam conference and they would have the live stream for the events and things like that. They should do more of that, and they could do more of that through this service, more live stream of like live events that probably would normally only remain, Japanese only. But if they could do more of that and translate it, for the English speaking audience, I think that would be a good one. The other one is just more interviews and Q&As with creators and designers. They could give opportunity for English fans or whoever, however many countries this service goes into, to ask questions to the creators and designers that maybe normally they wouldn't. Because I don't know how else you'd really ask these people questions if you don't live in Japan. You'd have to hope that they go to like an anime expo, either in LA or New York. I mean, generally they're not going to go to some small expo typically. Like, for example, Isaac, I found out that one of the designers we like, Mika Akitaka, he designed a few of the things in 0083 that we really enjoy. He actually went to AX 2022, so we missed him. He was there last year.
God.
Yeah, he did the art on the program. So I was like looking up to see if he had an art book the other day, and he does, but it's only for like the Mobile Suit Girls, those things. But yeah, also coming up on eBay was like his programs that he did for AX22, and I was like, damn, like I would have liked to go and seen him there.
We could have roped him into an interview.
Yeah, I can just see you in the middle of the crowd yelling out, "I love the Noisiel."
Yeah. I'll be dressed as bodybuilder Delaz, yelling in the back.
There's no way he could ignore you if you did that.
I keep running to the front and interrupting whoever's asking questions.
You just move them out of the way.
Tell us about the ideals of Xeon.
So those are the last two things on my list. Did you have anything else on your list, Isaac?
So something kind of funny, wacky, and I think a lot of people would get a kick out of, and also very popular in Japan, would be a Gundam Idol show where people sing Gundam songs, whether intros or outros, right?
Yeah.
I just think that'd be fun and silly, and it'd be kind of like karaoke, which is huge in Japan and even big here. But I don't know, and that popped into my head because as fans, we always have our intros and outros that we like, and we probably all sing them while driving or listening to them at some point alone. And we know the lyrics, even if we can't really completely capture the right pronunciation of the Japanese words. So I think that definitely be something fun, and people would probably kind of watch that to just laugh and stuff, or say, oh wow, that person really has the pipes to pull off that Gundam intro.
That's actually pretty brilliant. I would definitely watch that. My son, though, he's 3.5, and he actually really likes that one song from 0083, Back to Paradise, that plays, I think, when they're training with the powered gym.
Yeah, it's the version of the winner, right? That's kind of not the winner.
Yeah, it's sung by the same artist, but yeah. So he goes, "What song is that, Dad?" And I go, "Well, it's called Back to Paradise."
It's the perfect song to listen to before your base is attacked by Xeon troops.
Yeah, so I added it to his playlist. So we go from like ABCs to like Back to Paradise randomly if you're on shuffle.
That's pretty cool. Your son has good tastes. One other thing I thought of that'd be kind of fun, and for maybe not just me, but definitely the lore fans, but also just fans in general who watched a lot of anime or a lot of Gundam, would be sort of like a Jeopardy type trivia show almost, where they're contestants and they get kind of quizzed on like different Gundam facts or stuff like that you could really only pick up by watching the series, or maybe even knowing about the series and some of the history and stuff behind it, or the making of. So yeah, I figure that's maybe a lower priority, but definitely something I think fans would like.
You know what, Isaac? That is a fantastic idea, and I didn't want to bring this up because we didn't get to do it, and no one better take my damn idea, but I'm gonna say it anyway. When like the brochures or whatever were going out for Anime Expo 2023, there was a form that you could fill out to like request a panel, like to host a panel. And I was thinking, Isaac, that we should do a Gundam trivia panel where we host the trivia and give away prizes. One, I don't know if anyone would show up, but I think it would be pretty cool.
Can you imagine? One person shows up.
Well, we'll just use all the prizes ourselves if no one shows up. But we missed it this year, so we'll have to try again for AX 2024. So if you live in the area and would come to our trivia panel, let me know, because I think it would be a lot of fun.
What are the costs in hosting a panel?
Like, I don't know, but the thing is, you can't. They have to like let you in, right? They have to choose.
Okay.
To give you the panel slot, because I assume that more people apply than they have slots. But I feel like we might actually have a chance since we have like a podcast that is at least somewhat legitimate.
Okay. It might be a situation where they're like, look, we have the convention center, fill these rooms. It's not a question of, well, who can we charge these rooms to?
Right, yeah. No, they absolutely. I don't know if there's a fee or whatever it is. The fee is some nominal fee.
Right.
I think it's more of a question. There's just so many people that probably want to do it. I think we at least have a little bit of a shot because they can actually go look us up and say, oh, look, these people, they do something. But yeah, I think that'd be fun. So if anyone out there would want to go to a Gundam trivia panel next AX, let me know, and we will remember to send in the form on time this time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's torpedoed, but I applaud your vision. And why shouldn't we do it, right? As
No, why
long as we
not?
get enough people to actually show up.
Well, yeah, you don't know, right? Because it's not like you take spots, right? It just appears in the program, people show up. But I think that'd be fun. I like trivia. I would go. And if we just promise prizes, people show up.
Yeah, if one person shows up, you can't get all the prizes. Like, end of discussion. Like,
Well, here you go.
this isn't a race where, like, if you show up by yourself, you win. You know? We don't do those rules.
I would still make them answer all the questions, though.
Yeah. You're competing with yourself.
We would have to make different levels of trivia, right? Like some for kids, some for so fans, and then I'd get like a good master grade and have like, I don't know, the really hard questions. People square off for that one.
What kind of tea did that admiral that got nuked in 0083 keep drinking?
And justify your answer.
Yeah.
So that was the end of my list, Isaac. Do you have anything else on yours?
No, that was it. But I feel like the foundation's there. It's probably been discussed in at least one room at Bandai or Sunrise. Just unleash it and give us like a centralized way to consume Gundam content, and the rest is history.
Absolutely. So listeners, tell us what you want in a hypothetical Gundam Plus subscription service. You want anime, you want manga, you want Gundam Idol, you want Gundam models. Tell us what you want. What did we not mention? Really be curious to hear your thoughts. And then let us know how much you'd pay for something like this. Would you pay for this? Is this like a non-starter for you, or does this sound actually pretty good? Because I think it could work at the right price point. So I'm in. Let us know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Share your thoughts, and it'll be here sooner or later.
Alrighty, Isaac, take us away.
All right, listeners, before you go to sleep tonight, stand next to your bed, put your hands together, get on your knees, look up at the ceiling, and hail Gundam Plus.
Good night, everybody.